Hey, welcome back. It is a Sam Spicone, political analyst with Marathon Strategies. Guys, thank you very much. A lot going on. I couldn't even believe the zaniness of that presidential debate the other night. It was like a train wreck and dumpster fire all in one. We'll get to that in a minute, but Joe Biden seems to really be singing for his supper with the black vote in South Carolina and elsewhere. You guys take a look at this clip and tell me what your thoughts are.
Question is, what is your faith, and how would you use your faith in making decisions for our nation?
Well, Reverend, I kind of know what it's like to lose family. And my heart goes out to you. As you may remember, after Barack and Michelle and I were there and my family, I came back on that Sunday to regular service because I had just lost my son. And I wanted some hope because what you all did was astounding. I don't know if you all know this. All those who died were killed by this white supremacist. They forgave him.
Sammy, I'm going to serve it up to you first. I get it, but it seems like he's really pandering hard.
Well, I think the vice president is, he understands that South Carolina is crucial to him. I think, not just focusing on that clip, I think he made an important comment at the debate. He kind of out of the blue made a point that, he'd like to appoint the first black woman to the Supreme Court. I think that was a strong play that probably resonated. The Kleinberg endorsement is crucial for him. I think his campaign understands that, South Carolina isn't the end all. That's really Super Tuesday in terms of setting the tone moving forward. But I think they understand that if he doesn't really dominate in South Carolina, it's going to be really difficult for him to move forward. But, at the same time, I think the latest polling, I think one just came out earlier today showing that he's really well positioned right now in South Carolina. And I would say it's not just pandering. I think that he understands that the words matter, and I think his past and how he's recognized in the black community is strong. And I think that he gets it, and I think that for better or worse, we'll probably get to this later on in this conversation, but it's not over yet, and I think anybody who said that Bernie's walking away with it is not quite correct yet.
Billy, the one problem that Biden's got going in South Carolina is a Tom Steyer problem. Not that Tom Steyer is really a tangible problem, but in South Carolina, he's spent the bulk of his money, and he's also got a whole bunch of African-American electives he's got behind him. He's at like 15%.
Sure.
Bernie takes some of the Latino minority vote, some Steyer, this could cripple him.
No, listen, it certainly could. I think Biden knows 61% of the Democratic primary electorate in South Carolina in 2016 was African American. He knows that's where his strength. He's got to play the hand that he's been dealt. Steyer, I think, can buy a lot of ads, but can't buy a lot of love, and I think we've seen that in a lot of the polls too, nationally and state by state. So I think Biden does understand that this is almost a do or die situation. That he's got to put a win under his belt. He's got to start racking up some delegates prior to Super Tuesday, and he's got to show that there's some life in this campaign. Thus far, he hasn't been able to do that.
No, it's I don't see momentum there.
Yeah, well, and I would say it's not just he has to win. I think that he has to have a Bernie Nevada-style win, frankly. I mean, to show some strength. And even, frankly, again, for better or worse, because if he does, the upper downside of that is potentially it's setting the tone for broker convention, et cetera, which, could be a good or bad thing for the Democratic Party. But I think that his campaign is really looking for a 15 to 20-point victory. And if they don't get it, it's good, and I'm sure that they will spin it in a strong way. But I think it then goes back to, we'll probably get there in a second. But I think the point you made, yes, it was a challenging debate to watch. But the takeaway I had from it, which maybe wasn't shared by everybody in the maybe Democratic establishment or the pundit class, was that there were really no knockdown blows landed on Bernie Sanders. And looking at California and Texas, he's feeling pretty good right now, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, Bernie, I think, hightailed it out of South Carolina already. He kind of conceded it. I heard that today he's in Massachusetts. So I guess he's going for a seek and destroy mission. I'm not going to win South Carolina. Let me put Elizabeth Warren out of her misery. Why would he be going up to Mass?
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if, in the same way, in Nevada, he was already, making his, evening speech from Texas. He's probably not going to be giving his, post South Carolina speech that night from South Carolina. He's probably going to be, he could be back in Texas, but he may very well be in California, different state. I think they're looking a state ahead.
Yeah, and lost in the shuffle. I played this in my open, but a lot of those, I think 1/3 of all voters in the state of South Carolina are African American. And I was watching something on one of these other channels. They're saying the majority of the vote that Joe Biden needs to get out there are the African American women vote, like them field organizers and local Democratic leaders. He needs to get them out there. I think a lot of those Southern folks are Christian too. And take a look at this. I don't know if
I've earned the vote. I've worked like the devil to earn the vote of the African American community, not just here but across the country.
The devil. That's what I heard. That's what he said. I worked like the devil. Christians don't like using that term. Like, work like a devil, that's one
I got to
thing.
tell you, if he doesn't do well in South Carolina, I don't think it's going to be because of that. I think you made a good point. I think maybe there's a Tom Steyer impact, but I don't think it's going to be major. And I think here the point is that I think I heard you overheard you before talking about Amy Klobuchar, et cetera. The reality is that this is a Biden and Bernie race. I think that I saw some commentary this morning, even from some of the folks in the pundit class, in the mainstream media, kind of talking about pushing Bloomberg to get out, which was kind of interesting, given that there was kind of a demand for him before. I think that it's kind of less about some of those minor moments from the debate, and frankly, I think that some of the craziness from that, the folks talking over each other at the debate, isn't really going to be what we're talking about after Saturday.
And that's where Biden, I think, has to make it a Biden-Bernie race,
Yep.
right? Because right now it's all Bernie. It's been all Bernie. It's got to be a Biden-Bernie race at this point. And Biden's the only one that has the
They
control.
got to get rid of the other two Bs also. Bloomberg and Buttigieg. You got Bernie, Biden, Bloomberg, Buttigieg. You got a lot of killer Bs in there.
That's true.
I mean, the key is going to be, right now, it's just, if you go to any of those campaigns, they've all got a certain argument for why they don't want to get out. Buttigieg is going to keep saying, I'm the only one who's competed or beaten Bernie. When Super Tuesday happens, that whole narrative changes. When it comes to Bloomberg, he's invested a significant amount of money. He's polling potentially above the 15% threshold in some of the Super Tuesday states. I think it was interesting to see some of the calls this morning on some of the national media for him to come out, and I think there was kind of a response from some folks in the pundit class to say there's really a very small chance that he's going to do that given how much he's invested. But yeah, I think for the Democratic Party, if we're not winnowing down to a couple folks after Super Tuesday, we're having a weird conversation at that point.
Yeah, a brokered convention is the best thing that could happen to Donald Trump. I would say.
100%.
Even this morning, we're talking about some people saying the super delegates in the Democratic Party, in the Times, they're saying we want to throw in Nancy Pelosi and Sherrod Brown, and it's like, okay, we can have that conversation, but if that's what the super delegates are saying, that kind of maybe makes
They
a lot of Democratic voters some
Nancy
nervous.
Pelosi and Sherrod Brown? What does that mean?
It means that if you get to the point of a brokered convention, you have super delegates saying that I want to bring in somebody like a Nancy Pelosi to step in and become the nominee.
That's what I'm saying. So they're going to go.
Oh, you're saying, yes.
That's
the
an
reaction,
actual plan.
frankly,
floating
and in
around? I
terms of
didn't hear this one
meeting
yet.
at the left, right, center, the reaction you just had might be shared by certain Democratic voters who are saying,
I would bet
I might be in a difficult position then.
that would be a dream come true for Donald Trump. He would wake up. Whoa, did that just happen?
Right.
I think the key is, and frankly, I know you may not have a lot of Democratic viewers on this show, but maybe you do, and maybe even have some moderate Republicans who might be a little bit concerned by the Trump administration. The thing that I hate hearing is folks in kind of the pundit class on national media who are, sometimes border on being so pro-establishment that it creates tension, is this idea that if Bernie Sanders were to be the nominee, then you are going to force a lot of moderate Democrats or independents to vote Trump. And to those kind of voters, the message needs to be, if you don't like the Trump administration and you're concerned by somebody who gets in front of the podium at the coronavirus press conference and talks about his political enemies and kind of sounds like your crazy uncle from upstate, It's not on Bernie Sanders or the Democratic Party if you choose not to vote for him and align behind him if he does well on Super Tuesday.
We're gonna cover the coronavirus press conference and preparedness or lack thereof in the next segment. You guys are gonna hang with us. One of the things, Sam, maybe you don't think Bloomberg is gonna get disqualified from the race for saying the devil instead of a devil. You don't think that's gonna be the one?
Biden, you mean? Oh, in the clip you just showed.
Yeah, that's not it.
I don't think he will.
No,
I think the Clyburn endorsement
Let
maybe
me show
outweighs
you the
that.
magic of television. You see, you got to try to zero in on things sometimes because that's the setup for my team to do this, to make this.
Like the devil to earn the vote of the African American community.
Are you going to jump in the race? That's your Biden. You're the unity candidate now?
You needed the predicate setup, you know what I mean? But great job, team. Great job to you for being with us. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about coronavirus, the fear, fright, and hysteria, the effects on the economy, and the presidential races. More Liquid Lunch for you right after this.